instead of me just modeling these guys all around, we're gonna come on down here, rotate this. I just duplicated the shape now. You know, I'm building this guy modular, right? You want to work smart, not hard here. Get your toolkit set up here first before you go about doing things, okay? So we're gonna do a nonlinear bend. Rotate this guy to 90 degrees. Let's see what we get from that curvature. All right, we're working out fine there. And we're matching right in the middle. This is a perfect union, pretty much. Let's see. Wow, pretty dang close. That's like that's the closest I've ever gotten one of those. That's awesome. Deleting history. Get rid of that deformer now. We don't need it anymore. And then I can come in here and just snap these vertices together, right? I could just play around with the threshold and just wham, we're in. Or, I mean, if you want to put another division there, you can, you know, whatever. But we should be pretty seamless though, right? So I got, you know, I have one more loop that I just made there. And, you know, what I'm going to do here for these shingles too, because you may notice as I come over here and try to stack this guy in, it's going to be really hard to get this effect looking like good shingles. So what I'm going to do is bring this guy in and kind of get that slope every single time. Okay, and I definitely do not want these linear lines just kind of popping out either. So I'm going to rotate this guy around just a little bit. Let me center my pivot so I got like a more cylindrical rotation there. All right, I'll scale out just enough there. And there we go. That's one more loop of stuff. Do the same thing with this guy, right? Freeze transforms. Let's rotate you 90. And set up another deformer. Bend. You know, if I was smart, I would probably have these guys set up, you know, so that my bend deformers would just snap right on in there, but yeah, whatever. All right. Not too bad on this guy either. Not too shabby. Let's delete history. Now this one's got like a bigger division there, so I think I'm just gonna model that in. Let's merge those vertices together like that. And you know, I think I have to snap these two guys together. Here, you know what? If you want something a little bit in between, merge two of them together and it'll try to find like an even ground there to work with. Come on over here though. Just get like a bridge going. And then fill the hole. Now that's obviously gonna look like garbage. Let's go to the UVs with it though. Now, you can't see this on my screen, I'm sure. Let's see what we got. Now this is also on a UV seam too, so that's a bad place to bridge, I think, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, let me click on the UVs. Yeah, that's a bad place to bridge. Let me you know what, just freaking let me just do a capture here. I'm just gonna camera project it and grab these guys and just pull them on in to the area where they need to be. There, whatever. I'm in some moss. You guys get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now my UVs here are actually doing some bad stuff. It looks like they're kind of coming around, hitting just a little bit of that edge there, and I don't want that. I want there to like be that mossy kind of shape there, right? All right, cool. One more loop. Now, if this was like a long tower, you know, I obviously wouldn't be doing this every time. I would just keep duplicating the loops. Let's enlarge this one. Definitely not centered with this. Let's get centered. There we go. Just make it overall larger, like this. But yeah, if this was a bigger, like a taller tower, I would definitely be doing I would definitely just be grabbing these loops and just duplicating them, right? I want to make sure that I'm not covering up too much. I only want to cover up enough that I'm not getting those little halos from the previous model there. So there we go. I don't want this stuff showing up, basically, is what I'm saying. All right. I do not have my well reference up. I don't know. I'm gonna do one more. This one's actually got the wood on it, so I'm gonna try this out. Freeze transforms. Let's delete you. Did I already duplicate? No. All right. Rotate 90. Sorry, I know somebody told me, you know, let me try this. Hang on. Rotating with J locks these guys in. There we go. I'm not used to some of these things, so rotating with J, definitely a good one. It's been vetted by Harvey now. Just as I say that, it's like, okay, well, I just freaking did it again. Okay, 90. Curve it around. Now this one, this loop, this last one right here was just on the edge of my tile and my wood, or my shingles and my wood, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I can work with that. Because I'm probably just gonna stick a piece of wood right on top of it anyway, so it works. All right, let me delete history, because once again, we're looping 180 degrees around, and it's still doing some good stuff. So, all right, what are we looking like here? Let's just merge these guys together. Okay, so we don't want to comply. I'll just snap you in the middle. Make sure I'm not like hitting something else here, right? There we go. Done and done. I'm not going to sit here and fret over each and every one of these guys. All right. This guy's probably going to be a little bit shorter too, and that's probably going to be at work for my well here. I don't want this thing to be too tall. I'm going to make this guy a little bit short. I need to be thick enough that I'm overlapping there, right? And I don't want this guy to line up with the rest of them, so center my pivot and just a little bit of chaos, right? If you get these guys like perfectly in the half of each other, it's not going to look too organic. So I would recommend something like this, where you're kind of like maybe hitting it in quarters, and making like a nice, really like, you know, havoc like kind of design there. I want the connection to be a little bit taller. That way I look evenly spaced, right? The line should be nice and evenly spaced. All right. And that should give me that nice little layering effect that I'm looking for too, okay? That's gonna be pretty nice for this kind of model. Okay. So that is that. Now, what I can do now, I think I'm going to, I really need to get the reference up here. I want to make sure I'm doing this thing right. And that's something you guys should be doing too, is making sure that your reference is matching up, okay? Because that's pretty important. Let's look at the reference. Come on up. We have like a flat plank, right? I'm not using rock, although I could put overgrowth around this thing. I'm not sure if that's what her intention was with the reference. I know that she is using rock now. We're gonna keep this thing going though, okay? I need rounder planks, okay? But I think I wanna put some divisions in there too. So I feel like I'm going to, we're gonna do some round like quarters maybe, or should I do quarters or eighths? I'm not sure. I don't know how round wood gets. Oh, they're not bending wood though. Okay, so that's something I have to kind of realize here is if I'm going to get a round shape, it's from a flat piece of wood. I do see a division right here though. So that's good to know. Let me do this thing in quarters, okay? Let's see what we can get out of this, because I feel like we can do some interesting things that are going to kind of break the norm here. So what I'm going to do, I mean, that shape, you know, what is that shape? First of all, that shape is a pipe, right? It's the top of a pipe. Pretty simple, right? So I'm going to just rock a pipe here. I want this thing to be thinner, like this. And the thickness needs to, let's get this guy organized. Let's get it lined up where I want it to be. I'm probably, you know, since this thing is kind of hanging out a lot, I'm probably going to want it to have just a little bit of resolution to it. So I'm probably going to up the res on this thing too here. But I'm really, you know, I want it to also plug this shape up. Let's scale you in. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to play with thickness just a little bit more. I feel like this is going to be a good thickness. I think I want to imply, yeah, I definitely want to imply that there's probably brick underneath this thing. And oh, dude, that would be really cool if I could just like rip some of these shingles off and show like a little bit of brick under there. All right, I'm already getting cool ideas from this thing, right? So I want to give this thing enough thickness to imply that there's probably some brick in there. Let's go a little bit wider with it. I want quite a bit of overhang because it's a silhouette shape, okay? And let's 30 seems fine. I need to pick. Let me see. No, I don't know if 30 works actually. You need to pick a good even number where we can where we get divisions where we can cut this thing off. So 28's good. I like 28. This is working for me. Okay. I like this. I'm gonna go with this. We'll incorporate brick stuff later. That'll probably be part of the baking material that we can do. Okay. So, and we can model changes to this thing later. Right now, we're kind of setting this thing up modularly first, though. Okay. Freeze transformations on this guy. Let's see what the UVs look like. I do hope, yeah, we're gonna get messed up on UVs pretty much here. Let me look at this thing. I'm gonna look at this thing just independently like this. I'm just gonna isolate the view. Okay, and this is gonna be a lot better for us I want this thing to be more of a ring, right? That's gonna be a better UV for us and overall. I don't really need this guy. And, okay. And this guy needs to be part of our tiling texture. So I'm gonna put that in there. Now I can see what my texture map looks like on this thing, right? So that's a good step. Now I said I was going to split this guy up into quarters. So let's start with that first here. Let's get these little like pineapple slices out of the way. I'm just gonna cut you up. I also want divisions in here too. That's these sidewalls are probably, you know, something I'm going to unitize, definitely. Probably, you know what, yeah. I'm just gonna grab all these shapes here. And I'm just gonna, okay, I'm gonna grab this and I'm going to unitize it. Unitize. And now I'm gonna grab, let me pull these guys over here first. Let's grab this edge loop here and this edge loop here. And I'm going to select everything in here. And now you'll see that I've only selected, I just did a shift select, so it selected the inverse of what I had. So now I have everything selected this way. If I just move and sew it all together, actually, sorry. I need one division on this thing. So I'm going to cancel that edge out. And now I should be able to do a move and sew. There we go. Nice and flat, right? Unitize this guy up. Scale him down quite a bit. Let's get some wood grain going here, right? Because this is what I'm going to do for this entire thing. Could I put divisions in this thing? Definitely. I don't want this guy to be too, you know, it shouldn't be too dense. This doesn't seem too bad, but I feel like I need to stretch it out now and get those UVs shaped better. You know, I'm going to have a little bit more of a rectangular shape like this. So I still feel like that's a little bit too big. There we go. And it looks like I'm getting a lot of knots, so I would say try to work around that. You know, I'm kind of tiling quite a bit here. Try to pick something without knots, I would say. I think that's probably better. But work with the wood grain, right? Have a little bit of that wood grain in there and work with it, okay? We can separate that stuff out later. Right now, I want this to be unitized. So I'm gonna do this on the same thing here. Let's grab those UVs and unitize. Send these faces over here. I mean, we're working with tiling UVs too, by the way, guys, okay? So it really does not matter where this stuff is. It's, you know, it's gonna get the same texture repeated over and over again. We're living pretty good here, okay? I'm gonna select all the edges here. And then I'm just gonna, wait a minute. Yeah, sorry, I wanna select all the side edges and then just click on the inverse. And once again, I need a UV seam. So I'm gonna put that guy right there again. And there we go. One more time for you guys. All right, let's try to get that same scale going here. Might need to be just a little bit longer. There we go. Okay, we'll pull, you know, find another part of the wood grain, right? Maybe that's gonna work. We'll probably still have to tweak this a little bit when we actually get the wood grain on this stuff, on the tops. But yeah, find something that looks good. And just kind of leave it there for right now. Alright, now, what I want to do here is I want these guys to be separated now. And I'm going to find these shapes. This is a bottom shape. Let's not worry about him right now. Let's get a top shape so I can see what's going on. All right. And generally, when you're doing this stuff, you want it to kind of flow with it, right? Something like that, probably. This may be a little bit too big, so you can make it a little bit bigger. Kind of, you know, try to get a sense of the scale there. If that doesn't seem big enough, then you can scale it bigger. Okay? But kind of, you know, just make sure you're setting the scale for this stuff. Okay? This doesn't look too bad. Maybe, I'm gonna say something like that. That seems more realistic to me. Okay, and actually, here's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna scale these guys all evenly. That way, did I scale this at all? I'm gonna grab this entire shape and just scale these evenly, because I don't want this deviating too much. This is my, I'll even rotate it. I'm basically setting a gauge here from this little shape right here, and saying, yeah, I want this guy to be like my little trendsetter there. Good size of wood right there. So now I shouldn't have to scale these guys around anymore. Okay, one of these shapes is already determined. I can move it out of the way. It's this one right here, right? We can move him out of the way. Doesn't matter where you put him. He's probably going to get a wood grain, right? Now let's move these other guys around, right? This is another back shape. We'll come back to that later. Come back to the backs. You know, maybe I'll flip this guy this way, right? We'll see what we can do to try to put divisions in this, okay? What I might end up doing is like making some decals that actually make these look like separate pieces of wood, and I could put some nails in there too, right? You could do this kind of stuff, definitely. And you know, when we're painting inside Substance Painter too, when we kind of adjusting these maps, I can put a better division right here on this tile and make it look like this wood is a, you know, make it look like the wood is actually separated from the shapes there. All right. But yeah, it's if you want two different pieces of wood, that's going to be really nice to get set up there. Now this, where are my two divisions? These are the ones right here, right? You want them kind of looking separate. You don't want this thing looking like it's made out of one piece of wood. That's inaccurate probably, right? So let's grab the rest of these guys over here. The tops and the bottoms don't have to match up either, right? The bottom. Some of these guys, you can give it just a little bit more of an arc, right? As long as you're close, as long as you're kind of getting the idea. Probably, oh, I actually grabbed my top for the first time here. And just for the sake of sanity here. Keep this stuff kind of inversing. If I squeeze it all on this space, then that's fine. You know, this stuff can overlap. It can go between the seams, whatever you want it to do. Okay. But that's kind of what we're shooting for there, is a little bit of that. You know, there are some little blops in there too, actually. Now that I'm seeing some of these seams where we're getting some white areas and some dark areas, you may want to move some of this stuff around so that division is very clear. You know, it might... You don't want to go on the rope. Some of these guys, though, where it's like, yeah, I want this guy to be a little bit brighter over here. Kind of like really over exaggerate some of those seams a little bit. Where's this guy, our first one? Do the same thing. Get a little bit of that little white blemish in there. Make this stuff kind of stand out a little bit more. So there are things that we can do accidentally and things that we can do on purpose, you know? That's what we're rocking here. I see in the reference that there are some seams in there probably. So that would be a good detail. I may need to make this wood a little bit lighter to match the reference there, or maybe not, depending on whether I want this thing to be a mossy well or a nice clean well. Okay, and then my little bottoms here can they should definitely not be in the tile. I would just say try to get the direction the right way on these guys, but I don't think it really matters where they go after that. Just make sure that they're in the wood grain, right? Good to go. Okay, we're set up with that. Now this thing's probably gonna need an interior. I think I'm gonna ponder that a little bit more. Because I'm not sure what this interior is gonna be. Is the interior rock? Is the interior wood? That's something that I'm gonna kind of think about this a little bit more and plan that out a little bit further. But the demonstration will be here for you guys when you're ready for it and when I have it done. Absolutely, I'm not going to leave you out of it. Okay, so bottom of the well there. We're going to need some poles here. We have to get this configuration all set up. But yeah, I think the shape is pretty much there. I definitely have fewer tiles, I would say. These ones seem to be a lot bigger. So I mean, when you're making your tiles like this, when you're doing this stuff, you know, truthfully, like I wanted bigger details on this thing. I wanted them to seem a lot bigger. So, you know, if you make your details so small, you're not. The adjustments between the tiles there are going to be unjustified. The divisions there are probably going to be unjustified because it's not a big enough detail. So you may have to take some artistic liberties with this stuff and kind of layer it differently. I could, you know, I definitely could, though, you know, we could make some of these guys smaller this way and just stack this thing a little bit denser. That is a solution, right? So you know, if I do it this way and kind of scale things a little bit, this is also, you know, this is also a solution. I don't know why I did it this way, because this is like this is backwards now. And I can just like, I can just duplicate these guys and kind of just send them on down. I just like rotate them too, you know, that way I'm not getting those same details. This is also a possibility. So now that I'm seeing reference and I'm like, okay, well, I want more tiles. There we go. We just got more tiles now, just from altering some of that stuff. Okay, if you want, like some of these guys seem, you know, these may not be layered the same height, and that just gives you a little more chaos there, right? Where it's like, okay, well, this one's a little bit shorter than the others. You can play around with some things, or just put a little bit of that chaos in there. We can kind of make some of these crooked too if you want, you know. Kind of stagger them a little bit. This is all going to add natural stuff to your model. Actually, I wouldn't rotate them like that. I would probably just pull the vertices around. But it's all your game now. This is your time to be creative with this thing. Okay. All right, I'm nearing that time where we're gonna kind of take a break here, and we can finish up another day. The rest of this should be pretty self-explanatory though, as far as making posts out of the same wood. Not really a big deal, truthfully. Bake in what you need to. You know, I'm definitely gonna, you know, use this rope. You know, the texture is pretty weak right now, but you know, when we do get a good texture on there, we'll have that area designated for rope. Okay, and I might, you know, it's quite a large area too. When you look at this thing, like that's a lot of texture for rope. So whether you want that rope to be really intense and maybe be a little bit higher resolution so you get some better grain on there, or maybe I want to put 2 ropes in there. Okay, that's also something. You know, that's up to you guys. If I'm looking at my wood too, if I'm looking at, you know, how much texture I'm using for my wood, if it's like, okay, well, I think I gave myself a little bit too much wood, I could do a tile of bricks maybe. Do like a trim of bricks right here, so I could use that for the interior. And that tile of bricks, I wouldn't model it out. You know, I wouldn't do the same thing that I did with the tile because it's inside. So yeah. That's something I'm going to ponder and kind of consider too, is, you know, did I use up too much resolution for my wood? And can I maybe get rid of some stuff? Because, I mean, you know what? There's also some other stuff that I want to consider too, as far as the underside of the roof goes. There's probably some, yeah, there's probably some boards of wood under there, so that's going to be the deal breaker right there, is me saying, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. But you know, I could do a trim on the baking texture. That's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do a trim on the baking texture maybe. And I'm already using buckets. You know, that's gonna be my baking material kind of thing, with metal bars and stuff. So I want to bake a bucket out. I want to bake a handle. I want to bake some decals that I can use for nails and screws and stuff, and get some brick in there too, probably, so I can kind of rip some of these guys off with the geometry and just put some brick under there and give people a little bit of identity as to, you know, how this thing is made, what exactly it is. Okay, cool.